Your aunt owns this place, right?
I own it.
Breaking Bad got one major detail wrong. Jesse Pinkman should have been nailed by the IRS long before the Nazis ever showed up.
Because I got 3 little letters for you, IRS. If they can get Capone.
For a show obsessed with the fine print of money laundering, Breaking Bad left a conspicuous gap in its otherwise meticulous realism. Jesse Pinkman never once had to sweat the IRS.
We're getting the car wash.
Walter White and Skyler spent multiple seasons wringing their hands over paper trails, cover stories, and fake gambling wins.
Do I need to sign something or something?
Yet Jesse, armed with a shoebox of dirty cash and the subtlety of a marching band, blew through his fortune on sound systems, parties, and the occasional real estate purchase, without so much as a polite audit letter. The contrast is glaring.
I have money. I have more money than I know.
Walter, a former chemistry teacher with decades of documented income, suddenly became a man of means.
Do you own outright? Do you have a mortgage?
His household expenses, mortgage, college tuition, cars, were all the kind of transactions banks and governments notice. His problem was never simply that he had too much cash, but that his lifestyle screamed, "Explain me."
That car directly contradicts our story.
Skyler's neurotic panic over champagne bottles and expensive renovations wasn't paranoia. It was survival instinct.
That DEA brother-in-law? Screwed. You were right under his nose.
Walt's life was deeply entangled with institutions, neighbors, and, inconveniently, a brother-in-law in the DEA. Every unexplained dollar invited scrutiny.
So your aunt owns this place, right?
I own it.
Jesse, on the other hand, lived like a ghost. Before his meth career, his paperwork already amounted to little more than drug arrests and failure to launch. No steady job, no mortgage, no tuition bills, no credit history worth the name. When he did buy his parents' house, Saul Goodman quietly greased the paperwork, framing it as a discounted inheritance in the middle of a housing crisis. Neighbors who saw him move back in didn't suspect a money laundering scheme. They shrugged and assumed the burnout kid had come home again.
So hey, I got this kick-ass new flat screen.
Most of Jesse's spending was cash-based and low stakes. Flat-screen TVs, stereos, pizza, drugs, and strippers don't show up in a government database. His one registered car was a battered Toyota Tercel. The IRS doesn't chase down unemployed 20-somethings over secondhand junk.
It's perfect for money laundering.
We're not buying a nail salon, Mr. Goodman. We're getting the car wash.
Walt, meanwhile, tried to launder 7 figures into a car wash, an asset that screamed for explanation.
Feds, and you're tossing yours out a window?
Jesse tossed his own cash out of car windows and hosted bacchanals where the beer and meth flowed freely.
This is just a heads up to let you know I'm coming for you.
Walt strategized how to leave a clean nest egg for his family. Jesse simply tried to drown himself in oblivion.
Shortly after my 50th birthday.
Yes, the tax man eventually catches everyone, but the show's compressed timeline worked in Jesse's favor. The entire saga spanned only 2 years, from Walt's 50th birthday to his 52nd. Tax evasion cases don't unfold overnight.
How did you pay?
Cash.
The IRS waits for filings, cross-checks them with lifestyle, and builds airtight cases before striking. Jesse had barely one tax season in which his meth income might have surfaced, and he wasn't filing anyway. Even if the feds had wanted him, the DEA or local police would have picked him off long before any forensic accountant did.
Laser tag.
The more charitable explanation is that Saul managed Jesse's risk behind the scenes. When Jesse showed no interest in nail salons or laser tag, Saul still handled the real estate purchase, likely through a shell company. But even that was limited.
I think we should keep him for a while and get
Unlike Walt, Jesse never cared about preserving wealth long term. He was reckless, depressed, and by the end, suicidal. Tax liability was hardly at the top of his concerns when he was busy alienating friends, overdosing girlfriends, or being chained in a Nazi compound.
The story comes first.
And then there's narrative economy. Vince Gilligan and his writers knew where the tension belonged. Walt laundering money was not just plausible, but essential. His identity as a father and provider depended on passing his empire's spoils to his family without leaving them criminally exposed.
You know you need to launder your money, right?
Jesse's story was about self-destruction. His refusal to launder his money wasn't a plot hole so much as a character note. He had no plan, no future, and no patience for Saul's lectures about tax shelters. The IRS wasn't irrelevant to him. It was just irrelevant to the story. One can still nitpick. Cash purchases of utilities, cars, and especially a house do eventually raise flags.
False currency transaction reports out the wazoo.
Large cash transactions, over $10,000, are automatically reported. A bag of bills dropped on a closing table would never survive scrutiny without Saul's intervention. And if Jesse had survived longer in the game, the IRS would have caught up with him. Capone, after all, fell to tax evasion, not bullets. But given the show's time frame, Jesse's laissez-faire approach to taxes wasn't an oversight. It was a ticking bomb the series never let go off because it had bigger explosions to stage. Skylar's fretting about champagne, meanwhile, is a reminder of the real difference: perception. Walt and Skylar lived a suburban, middle-class life where every neighbor, every family dinner, and every bill demanded continuity. Jesse lived in the margins, surrounded by addicts and criminals who asked no questions. Walt needed to launder his fortune into legitimacy. Jesse never bothered pretending. He wasn't saving, he was burning. If anything, the IRS subplot that never was becomes a metaphor. Walter spent 2 years outsmarting auditors, investigators, and drug lords, only to be undone by pride. Jesse stumbled through with no strategy, no foresight, and no plan to explain his cash, yet outlived them all. Call it irony, call it narrative efficiency, but in Breaking Bad, the taxman never rang Jesse Pinkman's doorbell. Jesse dodged the IRS. You don't have to dodge the subscribe button.